Hi everybody, it's Kim Bopney, your vagina coach, and in this video we are going to be doing a lower body core. Actually, it's kind of going to turn into a whole body workout, and we're going to be using the p.ball from p.volve. So I will put in the link below information about this amazing product. I really love this. You have seen me in other workouts where I have put a loop band around my legs and I have a ball that I'm squeezing, and they're two separate pieces, and these are now intertwined. Once it's on, I can move in all different directions, do whatever I want, and it stays put and keeps firing up the ante. So I highly recommend you give this piece of equipment a try. I think it's really versatile and really cool, very innovative. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna come into a lunge position. So we're gonna stagger stance our legs. We're gonna have a slight bend in that back leg. I'm up on my toes. I've got a gentle curve in my low back, so making sure that I'm not tucked under here. So I'm lengthening my torso, untucking my back leg. And the movement here, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna open up. So I'm gonna spread out, I'm gonna straighten up my legs, and I'm gonna open up. And that's where we're gonna be lengthening the pelvic floor. And then we're gonna exhale to engage as we turn back and squeeze those legs together. So firing up those inner thighs helps with our pelvic floor. So that is a way that we can incorporate a different movement other than just Kegels to help improve our pelvic floor function. Okay, so here's our starting position. We're gonna inhale, lengthen the pelvic floor. We're gonna exhale, engage, and squeeze. Turning and facing you. You wanna make sure that that front leg, that front knee is tracking over those toes. So we have to work a little bit to help maintain our stability here as well. And nice, slow, controlled movement really, it makes it harder. So when we're moving quickly, while we might actually get our heart rate up a little bit more, we don't use the muscles as much. So nice, slow, controlled movement can really make things a lot more effective. Aiming for between 12 and 15 repetitions. If you need to stop at 10, that's okay too. It's not so much about the number, it's about using the time of work and doing as many as you can with really good form and control. And when you feel like you're starting to lose that form, take a break, do the other side. And let's make that the last one. We're gonna switch over and do the same thing on the other side. Getting into our staggered stance up on that back toe, bending the knees, making sure you keep that low back with a gentle curve. Sternum is nice and tall. Lengthen the pelvic floor on the inhale. Exhale, come back to center and squeeze. So what's cool about this p.ball is, again, I can move in all sorts of different directions and it stays with me. I don't have to keep readjusting it. I don't have to reposition it, just stays there, which I love. So I don't know about you, but my thighs definitely are working. They're talking to me now. Feeling the inner thighs, feeling the front part of the thighs, feel a little bit into the glutes here as well. And if you bring your fingers onto your hip bones, bring them in about an inch and down about an inch, kind of into the groin area. When you exhale and engage the pelvic floor, can you feel the tautness that happens? You can even try it on your belly. An engaged core is ideally led from a pelvic floor contraction. That's what elicits the co-contraction of the deep abdominals and really engages the core. So we should feel some nice tightening, not bulging out, just a nice sort of drawing in. So when people say belly button to spine, while that is well intended, if we can actually activate the pelvic floor, it will make that happen on its own, which I think is more effective. Let's do one more here. Good. Okay, shake those legs out. Again, don't have to do anything with my p-ball, it just stays right there, which I love. We're gonna move in now to our second exercise. We have 4 different exercises today. The next one we're gonna be doing is the p-sit. So it's essentially a squat. Again, we have the p-ball positioned where we want it to be, and we're going to sit back. And then as we stand up, we're gonna squeeze into that ball. But a couple things to pay attention to here. When we do a sit or when we do a squat, we want to hinge forward. We don't want to tuck and lower our, kind of press our knees forward. We want to make sure that our bum is going backwards. So you can think about your sit bones sort of floating up or reaching backwards. And then when we stand up, we don't want to come, up to the top and squeeze and press forward. We're going to come up to vertical, squeezing those legs, and then we inhale and we release the legs, lengthen the pelvic floor as we go back. Okay, so then we exhale and squeeze as we stand back up, engaging the pelvic floor. Inhale, release as we come back down. You can choose the range of motion. So this might be what is accessible for you, and that's fine. You might be able to come a little bit lower. You may be able to go down into a full squat. You may find that you like to have a chair behind you as a bit of a reference point. Maybe you have a chair on one side of you and use that for a little bit of balance. Totally up to you. You do you, wherever you need to be today, that's where you're gonna be. Okay, inhale, lengthen the pelvic floor. Stick those sit bones right back. Now exhale, engage the pelvic floor. Stand up while you squeeze that ball coming up to vertical. Good, inhale, release, exhale, squeeze and come up to vertical. Some of you may find that it's a little more accessible to squat with your toes turned out a little bit. We all have a little bit of a different anatomy, the way that we have generally the same anatomy, but the way that our bones are all put together sometimes differs in some people. We have maybe injuries to think about, surgeries to think about, all sorts of considerations. So do what feels good in your body. Don't get too hung up on, ideally feet, pelvis width, feet pointing perfectly straight forward. I really want to make sure that you're lengthening. Let that pelvic floor go as you exhale, then gather it and squeeze as you lift up. Squeeze and squeeze that ball. Good. Good. Squeeze and lift the pelvic floor, squeezing that ball. Let it go. Lengthen, lengthen. Good. You can do this without the core breath. So just the movement of lengthening back and coming and squeezing those inner thighs, even if you're not adding the core breath, will help you, will benefit your pelvic floor, will benefit your core. Certainly you're doing your lower body. So don't feel you have to add the core breath. I like to fire it up the ante a little bit. Let's do 2 more here. And last one. For the 4th exercise, we're actually going to be on the ground, but before we go down there, we're going to do another standing exercise, and we're going to take a staggered stance here, and we're going to step out and then step in and squeeze. We're going to step out and then we're going to step in and squeeze. And we're actually going to keep a little bit of that P-sit that we just did. So we're not coming up and then lowering down. You could if you want to, but I want to keep a little bit of a P-sit. We're going to step out and then squeeze in. Step out, squeeze in. So breath, inhale, lengthen, exhale. So that's the action of your pelvic floor. So this will really get your legs burning, especially because we're holding that P-sit. And again, if you want, when you come up, when you squeeze in, you could stand up and have a bit of a break if you want, and then step out. But if you want to try to give yourself an additional challenge, we're going to hold that P-sit or that squat position. And we're going to really get those legs burning. So this is a nice, low impact, but very challenging way to get our heart rate up. I'm definitely sweating. Strengthen our lower body, strengthen our pelvic floor, and definitely our core. Core doesn't just have to be a core exercise. The core is really helping us when we are unbalanced. So right here, I'm in unbalanced position. When we fire up the pelvic floor. So don't think that your core is just when we're lying on the mat doing crunches or planks or bicycles. And of course we are, even though we're not engaging the pelvic floor, as we extend that leg out, we're also getting a little bit of, there's resistance here. So we're getting a bit of work-a-mat step out to the side as well. Getting into those lateral hip muscles. And I'm not working in 2 or 3 sets of X number of reps. I'm just doing as many as I can before I feel like I'm starting to lose my form, and then stopping. So I like to just pick an exercise and do as many as I can with good form and take a break when I feel like I'm starting to get a little bit sloppy or when I really need to take a break. And I'm starting to get there. My hips are definitely screaming at me. So let's do 2 more on each side here. Last one. Good. Give your legs a shake. And now we are going to come down for the 4th and final exercise. We're going to do a side plank with the top leg will be externally rotating, kind of like the clam exercise, if you've ever seen the clam. So I'm going to come down onto my side. We are going to be leaning on our shoulders. If you feel like you need a little bit of extra padding, grab a rolled up yoga mat, stick it under, or a t-shirt or a cushion or something if you need it. You want to place your elbow underneath your shoulder. And I'm going to have my hips stacked, my knees stacked, and my ankles stacked, and the heels are sort of in the same line as my backside, as my bum. And when I say stacked, what I mean is they're on top of each other, as opposed to here, my top hip is further back, and here my top hip is further forward. So I want to be stacked on top of one another. The breath is going to kind of be a 2-part here. So there's going to be an exertion, which is normally when we engage the pelvic floor, when I lift up into a side plank. And then there's going to be an exertion when I open my leg. And there's also going to be another excursion where I can squeeze the ball. So what I'm going to choose to do is exhale, come up into my side plank, and then I'm going to inhale as I open up my top leg. And then I'm going to exhale and I'm going to squeeze. Inner thighs really are, they really help ignite that pelvic floor. So I'm going to take advantage of having the p-ball here, and I'm actually going to focus my breath on that squeeze as opposed to the press out. When I say the breath, I mean like the activation part of my core breath, okay? Also to note with the plank, instead of just lifting my hips up and going here, what I'm actually doing is pressing my hips forward so that I come into a nice long line. So that's my version of, well, it's not really mine, it's a Stu McGill exercise. It's pressing forward as opposed to just pressing upwards, okay? So here we go. Inhale, exhale, pressing forward. Inhale, lift up, exhale, squeeze. Good, inhale, down. Exhale, inhale, exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lower. So really, really feeling it here pretty much all through my body. Definitely into my shoulders, definitely into my, I'm feeling it even into my low back here. Outer thighs, inner thighs, core. We're getting it all in this exercise. So my limiting factor here is actually going to be my shoulder. I feel like I need to take a break, and I actually think I would benefit from a little bit of a padding underneath my elbow. I'm going to do 5 more here, and then I'm going to switch sides. Three more. Last 2. Last 1. And down. Okay, switching sides. This is our last set before we are done this workout. And again, I've got my ankles stacked, knees stacked, hips stacked. I've got my elbow underneath my shoulder. Whew, and I'm ready to go. Ready? Press those hips forward. Inhale, exhale. How you doing? Stop or take a break if you need to. If you find that you're like really shaking, you're starting to lose your form, you're starting to hold your breath, it might be a sign that you could take a bit of a break. You could take I'm stopping altogether break, or you could take a gentle couple second break and then come and rejoin us. Totally up to you. I'm feeling like I'm getting ready to stop here. Let's do 5 more. Last 3. And we are done. So there we have, meant to be really a lower body, but we ended up doing kind of a full body workout there. I definitely got my sweat on, I got my heart rate up, a nice low impact way to strengthen my lower body, strengthen my pelvic floor, strengthen my core, and get my workout out of the way. I really enjoyed using my p.ball from pvolve. Again, I'll have the links where you can get your own in the description below. Thanks so much for working out with me today.